welcome. Tell us
Thank
about
you.
yourself.
I'm so excited to be here, and it's been so much fun getting to know Lee and Faye over the course of the last few months too. I feel like we're friends now.
For
Um,
sure.
I am a co-founder and partner alongside my husband, Jamie, Constructionist Style, which is a design build, um, remodeling primarily we focus on, company out of Minnesota. And then we also run the online media, which is a marketing agency. Most of our clients is designers and builders. We, again, a couple of partners I have, we host a conference called Contractor Coalition Summit alongside Brad of AFT Construction and Nick NS Builders and Tyler Grace, TRG Concept Homes. So we do a conference a few times a year dedicated to only contractors that are looking to elevate their business. And then I host alongside two other female builders, Build Her Retreat, which we go to Costa Rica once a year to educate and also just reset. And then lastly, I have a nonprofit called Resilience to Reform that gives a voice to those that deserve a second chance. I
That's
hate introducing myself also, by the way.
Oh, because there's so much to introduce. I mean, it's seriously amazing. I'm like, and so
Thank you.
yes, Morgan runs a lot of things. She wears a lot of hats. She does a lot of really inspirational work too, which we've talked about and which we'll have to go into a whole nother time because it's fascinating. But I would like to go to Costa Rica.
Yes, you should.
Yes, I should. So we'll need to talk about that later, but thank you. So Morgan, let's talk a little bit about AI. I'm going to start here actually and just kind of frame things up for the audience. Not that we all don't kind of know what AI is, but I just want to level set here. So we have Google's definition on the screen, which is a lot of words. And I did find a simpler definition defined by TechTarget. It's a company called TechTarget. And it says AI is basically the simulation of human intelligence, any kind of human intelligence process that is done by machines or computer systems. So again, they're trying to simulate humans, these machines and computer systems. And I want to kick off the webinar by asking everybody on the line what they think about all this. So what is your take on AI? Lee's behind the scenes there. She's going to launch a poll. And we just want to get a feel for who we have on the line and what everybody's thinking. Are you excited? Are you optimistic but cautious? Are you neutral? Are you concerned? Oh, there's some concern. I see it coming in now. Nobody's afraid yet. Nobody's afraid. You see that, Morgan?
That is amazing. Yeah, I was telling Faye and Lee, I'm like, the beginning of this year, I was out at KBES and we talked a lot about AI and with a lot of people. And I think there was a lot of scarcity mindset around it. And at that point, I was like, you guys need to hop on the train and start utilizing or start exploring it or educating yourself on it. Cause I'm like, come middle of this year, it is going to be flying. And sure enough, it was, and it continues to do so. And so that makes me happy because I was like, I wonder how many people right now are still living in the scarcity mindset with it, or if they've realized that it's not like these robots walking around. Um, and it's truly just like an assistant. And there's different doses, right? But it can be in a healthy way. So I love seeing this.
That's great. Me too. So we've got over 50% of the people, actually over 70%, either cautiously optimistic or excited. We do have some concerned about risks, which is fair, right? I think we all should probably, it's healthy to have some concern about risks. But yeah, that's good. Excellent. So I do want to mention, though, that you're really here to tell us that there is good reason to be optimistic. So even some of those folks out there who are like, I'm not so sure, we do have a lot of reason to be optimistic. And, just tell us a little bit about your experience and how you've sort of delved in.
Yeah, well, I would say too, especially within our industry, I think when there is that little bit of scarcity or fear-based mindset, because we all work so hard to create the end product for homeowners and clients. And so I think a lot of times people are like, it's going to rip off my design, or, it's going to be stealing, there's going to be plagiarism. And the biggest thing, I'm like, there's so many ways, not just within the creative part, that it can assist you and not completely take over or rip someone else's idea off, but in the business side. And so there's a ton of different ways that we incorporate AI within tools that we were already using, and also within tools that we weren't using, that now it just makes, so much more efficient for our time. And, as I stated in the beginning, the different things I do, I'm like, I'm able to do multiple different things, not just because we have great teams in place, but also because the people on our team are utilizing AI and they're learning and they're forward thinkers and they're adapting them. And with this example right here, too, I think the easiest way that we utilize it within our design side of our team is just to kickstart a project. So for this, we were explaining to a client like what we wanted to put the application on for the wall, and even for our internal team to be able to, Kayla, who is our lead designer, just to be like, this is what I'm thinking of. And then I'm like, oh, cool, I can wrap my head around that, or vice versa. And so we were able to just like, I explained to AI very quickly, and we can say, hey, here's what the room looks like. You can even upload a photo of their room into the software and then just say, this is the application. This is what overall, this is what I'm thinking. And within a minute, this is what I got. And so immediately I was able to cut, previously for clients, it's like, you're trying to describe this. They're like, oh, I want to see it on the wall. Oh, I need to get a sample in place. And it's like, you have all these moving parts and all these logistics between the brand, the homeowner, the designer, the contractor, your internal team. And so there's all these layers. And so it's just been able to, for us to like kickstart things and move a lot quicker to get things cruising and to the finish line about things that we know and that live inside our heads, but it needs to be conveyed to all these other people. So that's the biggest thing that we've been utilizing it for from a design side. And this was an example of that.
Yeah, that's great. And so I just want to reiterate that from your perspective, AI, or your experience, I should say, it's not replacing the things we do. It's really enhancing skill sets and saving time. It's just a way to really invest yourself in,
Right.
designing the business as a whole. Yeah.
Yes. Think more efficiently, because also I'm like, this was very quick. And then I gave it no other criteria or anything, but like a lot of that you're probably looking, you're like, oh, I wouldn't butt the fireplace into a curtain. Correct. So it's a lot of just like overall higher level details. And if I were to show someone a Pinterest picture, the client would have been like, yeah, I understand, but like I need to see it in my space. And so that's, again, just efficiency to keep the ball. We all know time is money, right? And it's like the longer we spend on a project, the more money we're losing. So to keep things moving more efficiently.
Yeah, love it. And that really marries into this stat that I found that I shared with you previously, because I was like, whoa, there's an actual study out there from Stanford and MIT that tells us that, when people are choosing or using chatbots like ChatGPT, which a lot of us have obviously heard of, it's really proven to increase productivity by almost 14% or right around 14%. That's craziness, that we are finding that it is actually making us more productive.
And on top of more productive, I look at that number and immediately think money. And I'm like, I would love to be 14% more profitable coming into the new year. So for that, I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, our team can, each team member, right? 14%.
right. Like you said, time is money. So
I
if you're more productive, you're more profitable, more than likely, right? So yeah, let's talk about, so you mentioned AI can kind of enhance human creativity, right? You're using it to kind of get juices flowing when you're trying to describe a concept, or you're just stuck. AI's
Yep.
been good for you, right?
Yes.
Um, we're going to get into this in a little bit, but it can also assist with like graphics and blog posts, and even you've talked about paint color guides. So we'll talk about a little bit of that here going forward. And then you already mentioned renderings and showed, a couple of things that it could be it can do for you, which when we talked early on, you said, people are outsourcing renderings in some cases and spending thousands of dollars. And so this is one way to save time and money. That's such a great point.
Yep.
And if you're doing your own, it's just making the process easier and faster, right? So that's great. So here's my favorite though. You said AI can alleviate friction between homeowners, contractors, and designers, because this is all so emotional. And I know we can all identify with that. AI
Yeah.
is kind of a mediator. How are you using it? You're using it to help you pull resources together and kind of streamline decisions?
Yeah, so I would say, which we'll get into more tools too, and that was just a question that popped up. So we'll share some tools and real life examples as well in a video here coming up. But yeah, so again, just going to, so Dolly is integrated with ChatGPT. That is what we use for a lot of that. And so when we're trying to convey a concept to anyone, a lot of times I hear from designers as well, when they're not using programs, how many times they have to go out to a home for the contractor just to show like, this is the way I want the tile laid. And to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you could be utilizing a tool that sends it over to them and uploads it into whatever program that they're using to manage the product. So there's so many in ChatGPT. This is the 4.0 paid version. There's different apps and tools integrated into that. So you can show a video. So that's a huge thing I do too. A lot of times we'll show the design, we'll show how we want things done and laid out. So for example, I'm thinking of this one interior designer. She can show the video, but also exactly how she wants it laid out in utilizing different AI tools. And so another tool we use as well, this isn't necessarily AI, but it has different integrations in it, is Loom. I would highly recommend anyone use Loom. So a lot of times I'm taking a photo, I'm taking different AI renderings, I'm taking different spec sheets, I'm taking screenshots of things, and then I'm going on a Loom and recording the video explaining it. Because again, I don't have time to be driving out to a home, walking
Yeah.
it through, and how many times you have to do that for how many different applications they're setting, and they're getting frustrated, you're getting frustrated. So I think just as I said,
Yeah.
mediator, because I'm like, a lot of these tools can help resolve any conflict, any frustration. And,
I love
again,
it.
what I heard from this particular designer, she was like, my contractor doesn't use tools, but I'm like, the cool thing about if you use the tool is you could literally text him this and he's gonna on his phone. He doesn't need to log into anything. So I'm like, it's really you using it and then showing, just, text it to him, however he communicates, or yeah. So I'm like, you could go once then, right? And then print it
Yeah.
off and hang it on the wall if that's what he needs, but then you don't need to be going out there again and again and again. So yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. So that, yes, being the mediator, I think that's just so
Yeah.
brilliant,
It's
actually,
like up
to
to
keep
you.
everything on track.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So,
exactly.
AI can do a lot of things, and I know you're always pushing yourself to stay kind of on the edge of all of this. Um, can you maybe talk a little bit about your team? You did actually already a little bit. Tell us about your team and like what your concept is, I guess, on business and why you'd want them working ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, I strive just to have a really good company culture and I want everyone to be living their best life. And so I'm always saying, again, time is money, work needs to get done, but I want them to be having more vacation time. We have unlimited basically PTO at our company, but also I realize everyone, Kayla takes vacation and she's still working, so but she loves her job. But I'm like, the more you can lean on tools, for me, I'm always thinking, buy back my time. I want to be replaced. And so to me, that's a positive thing. I also want our team to be thinking in that same mindset. I want them to want to be replaced, whether it's with tools or it's with people. And we know we can never like fully rely on a tool because even with the tools we do rely on, we're doing cross-checking. We're, making sure that everything is getting pushed, is getting published. I was just telling you this morning, one of our tools didn't do it. But we have a process in place that our team needs to log on, see if things got pushed to where they should be pushed, and what would take them if they're doing it manually, probably 3 hours. Now it just takes them 10 minutes in the morning. Um, and so
Yeah,
anyway, all that to be said, I just want our team to be, utilizing different tools. And then that's only going to make our company grow. And it's only going to be able to help us do more in different things and more creative things. And I think now with the world evolving so fast, like it's just going to continue to evolve. And what honestly excites me, I just think about my kids. I have 3 younger kids and I'm like, who knows what they're going to be doing once they get into the real world. And I find that very exciting. Like there's going to be so many different things that they're going to be able to do and make money by. And I just get excited for that. And so the way I see that is when people get, even though no one's fearful here, just to think like, you should be looking at being replaced so that you can be doing more, that your company can evolve, it can grow, and your team can evolve and grow. And honestly, I think giving that gift to your team, they're not going to leave. Like our main project manager, we're celebrating his 10-year this upcoming year. And I think
Congrats.
we push them to live their best life. So that's also with all these tools and technology, I'm pushing them to learn more, be forward thinkers, go find the latest tools, trends, technology, and let's use it. Let's explore it. Might not work, but at least let's try it. So it's another
Yeah.
thing I try to have an open mind and not say no to a lot of new things that are rolling out within our industry.
Yeah, yeah. And when we talked before, you had mentioned too, you see you're speaking of family and having time and but work-life balance here. You see this beautiful
Mhm.
family of yours on screen. I want to talk a little bit about something that you told me that I hadn't thought of because I am not a business owner, but that you want your business to be able to live on when you're ready to exit. You want sellable assets, and AI is helping you do that. How's that happening?
So one thing my husband and I are working on right now currently is our exit strategy. And when I bring that up to other colleagues, they're like, oh, but I love my job. I don't want to exit. And I'm like, it's not about that. It's about, because I'm 39 years old, my husband's 36. We're still young. We love our job. We love what we do. We're not planning on going anywhere, but we also want to develop multiple streams of revenue. We also want to develop multiple brands and businesses. And my favorite question to ask people is like, what is your legacy? Like, what is one thing or one word you want to like leave behind? And they're always like, wait, that's deep. And I'm like, I know. I like to go there, but but beyond your legacy, beyond what you're wanting to leave, what I see in this industry is so many contractors, it's getting passed to the next generation, or they just work until they can retire and then their business just dissolves. And for me, and I truly want to flip the script for this in our industry because I think that is really sad for what we do within homes, what we do to people's lives by creating the spaces for them. And I'm like, for such a cool industry like that, and to be able to work your butt off and then just to have the company just dissolve once you hit the age of retirement. And so for us, Jamie and I are truly trying to document everything, have every process in place. Like we want to be able to sell a profitable, not just a profitable, because I think that's what people look at too, is like, oh, well, what is the checkbook? What does that say? But we want to be able to sell sellable assets. And that's what it comes down to. So that's one thing we're really using AI with right now is everything that we're doing, we're documenting. We're putting like I'm telling our team too, like what do you do on a day to day? How did you do this process, that process? Like not just for now, but for later, so that we have this full business plan essentially, but dialed in very well so that it is a sellable asset. And I hope that every designer and builder and brand out there is doing the same because we don't work our butts out for nothing.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's so inspiring and such a way to look at, so AI is saving you all this time and you're able now to kind of put more into documenting your processes
Right.
and
Things that
creating.
people didn't have time for, right? They're like,
Yeah.
that's the last thing I think about. Or they start thinking about it when they're thinking about retiring. And it's like you
Mhm.
do that now as you're working on things. Even job descriptions. I tell our team, I'm like, I'm big at delegating. So I'm like, that I don't want to create your job description. You tell me what you're doing or what you should be doing. So you
Yeah.
create that. So down to little things like that where I'm like, AI, document it. And then as we evolve, anytime we change a process, let's make sure it's updated. I'm like, there's so many AI, like my Otter, that's a great one too. It's synced to my Zoom. So any single time, even if I can't make a Zoom, the Otter is going onto that call, recording it for me. Then it's in my inbox immediately when it's done. It tells me everything I need to know, probably in 10 minutes of what the hour-long conversation was. So that's allowed me too to get be able to set a little bit more boundaries. So calls, I want to know what's going on, but I don't need to spend my time there. That's just one example, right? So then
Oh, interesting.
stuff like that, because now I'm documenting that. So that can be pulled, it can be curated now into a lot of the assets of what you're doing, why you're doing it, what the conversations look like.
And you're
Yeah,
essentially in
yeah,
in
I had it.
two
Yep.
places at once.
Yes, it's great. It's a little freaky because sometimes even Kayla was like, oh, your otter is on the call. I'm like, yes, that's what it's supposed to say, like Morgan's otter.
Your otter is here.
Yeah,
Oh,
right. And
there's Morgan's otter.
and it'll even tell you too, like, is there anything I need to do? So it'll say like, for me, actionable items you need to do, there's 2 bullet points or none or what have you. So I'm like, it's great.
Yeah. That is awesome. Yes, I love that perspective. And we are going to talk specifically about tools for running a design business. So you just mentioned Otter, which was not one we were covering, which there's a whole nother prize for everybody on the line. But we're going to talk a little bit about where Morgan started to kind of explore AI and what she would recommend for running a design business. Kind of where do you start if you're at square one? And I do want to use the disclaimer that she did say, hey, every business is different, every team is different. So what works for Morgan may not work for someone else. But that said, we do have some advice if you are just kind of getting into this idea and want to see some places to start. So that's where we're headed next. So
Yeah.
yeah, what do you tell people? Where do they start, Morgan?
So the biggest thing I always say is it seems complicated, but it's not that complicated. But I think it just seems like it's the Wild West, right? This is new for all of us. And something in discussions with family we were talking about is that I think, again, is really cool is like, this is new for everyone. It's new for us as business owners or brands or industry. Whatever level you're at, it's new for you. So what I think is neat is like we're learning together and we're growing together and we have to lean on each other. We have to join in on the conversations just like you guys are today by taking time to join this call to just see what's again working for us. Um, so my biggest thing is one, start having the conversations with people. Every brand, so this is my next thing I do is make a list of all the tools that you currently use in your business. Make a list of maybe it's all the brands that you use within your projects and your business. Start there. So start simple and start asking them. So now, even with products and brands that we work with and we're installing into clients' homes, we're asking them, how are you using any AI within your company right now? Are you using any AI or looking into any of it? Are your engineers, anyone testing anything, or are they on to something, or are they exploring something? So we started having those conversations. And if they're like, you know what, we're starting, we have no clue what we're doing, but like we're trying to figure it out, I'm like, awesome. But if there's brands that are just like, oh my gosh, heck no, then I'm like, okay, even if we love them, this has happened. I'm like, we're just going to put a little note there because I'm just like, as our company, I want to be forward thinkers. I want to be moving with the times, the trends, the industry. And so I just take note of that, right? And because if they're not catching on board, I might want to explore other options that we can be utilizing for that. And then a lot are like, oh my gosh, yes, we have this new product rolling out and it's going to feature this. And then I start thinking, okay, if that's going to feature this, like what else, what other arm, right? A part of that brand could feed into another one. Like you think of smart homes and how they talk to each other. So then I just start exploring that. When it comes to tools we use, first I start by looking at the tool on the internet to see like, do they already have an AI integration? Tons of tools right now. I feel like every single day when I'm logging into a new tool we use, there'll be a pop-up that says new feature. So I immediately go and check out the new feature and I test it out. So start by doing that. If you don't see anything with it, ask them, ask your rep, there's probably a little chat, an email you can email just to say like, do you guys have any AI integrations rolling out? And as of now, for the most part, like all the tools that we use do have AI integrated in it, or they're exploring it with new tools, which is really exciting because then we can, ask them questions or start being the early adopters to it and give them feedback to be like, this isn't working correctly, or I would love to see this synced with this. So that's where I would start. Then I would start with ChatGPT. Start with the free version and go from there. I did the free version for a few months and I'm impatient, so I immediately just upgraded to the 4.0. And right away I was like, oh my gosh, this upgrade was worth every penny. And because not only can you do it from your desktop, but you can also do it. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm driving or I'm like just by myself or have time to think, that's when all my creative ideas start coming to me. And then I'm like, I'm driving or I'm in the shower, right? And I'm like, so you can grab your phone, you can talk to your ChatGPT 4, and it's gonna save notes for you. It's gonna, so you can start spitting out all these ideas you have, and it's gonna save it. It's gonna start answering it for you. You can have a conversation with it. It can be like your car passenger. Um, so there's a lot of, which we have a video we'll share with you, but there's a lot of different tools that already integrate within ChatGPT, but you have to do the paid version 4.0. This example here is we do a lot of content centered around our project. So we take our readers through the whole journey from the beginning of a project to the end of the project. And so we showcase a lot. We share our selections with people. We share our color guides. And I don't know about all of you designers out there, but I feel like everyone wants to know every color, whether it's the cabinets, it's the paint on the walls, it's everything. They want to know the color of it. They want to know the color of the bedding, the cushions. And so one thing that we found, again, we do a lot of content on our website. So we do a lot of paint color guides. So we do color guides every season. We do color guides every year. I think everyone looks forward to at the end of the year, like what is Sherwin going to come out with the color of the year, you know, for the following year. And then what colors will complement that. And so for us, we're constantly working with now, you know, ChatGPT, and we're showing different projects we're doing and asking for different color guides, and we're asking it to help us curate, you know, content together. And then it can put that content with Dolly working in, working side by side. It can show you what those colors look like, for example, of a rendering or a mood board. And so with that, the content on our website, we're able to just make more content. So I always say content is king. And the more and more content you can make, the more money it produces, no matter where it lives. So this was an example of a collaboration, which you see there with Brizo Faucet. And so we did a home in partnership with them. And the amount of content that we had to produce for Brizo, you know, for our partnership here, we did 8 bathrooms within this home. And then we got the kitchen, we got the powder bath. And so we had so much assets that we had to deliver, so much Instagram images that we had to deliver, so much Pinterest, so much blog posts, so much storylines. And so with that, I'm like, that can feel super overwhelming, just thinking about a space like that and thinking about each space, say I have to deliver 4 pieces of content assets. Then when you're thinking about 2 different brands involved, you know, we had all the messaging had to align with Construction Style brand. It had to align with Brizo Faucet brand, and not get a little bit like some Delta verbiage in there, you know, to stay very true to brand. And so just utilizing ChatGPT, I said, hey, I need to power out, you know, and I listed the deliverables. I listed very specific things that we needed to pay attention to. And so with that, then it is able to power out not just the content for me, but it can integrate with scheduling tools. So then I can schedule all the content and I set it, and I don't have to think about it again, that I've delivered the content. We did do Pinterest assets. So that's taking the images, it's having a call to action with text overlay on it. ChatGPT 4 integrates with Canva. Canva in itself too has its own AI integrations. So again, this could get very complex and overwhelming, but with AI within Canva, which we don't have a demo for, but we do have memberships on our website that we'll share later. But with that, I'm able to on there produce like 100, if you wanted 100 images, just with like a click of a button with different call to actions on them that are actually call to actions that SEO with the algorithms will favor. Just with a click of a button, and it generates all the images for me, and then I can use a different scheduling tool, and it's powering out our content and assets for us and Brizo over and over and over again for months to come, and I don't even have to think about it.
That is really, really inspiring. And so everybody on the line, the point here is you do have time for social media, right? You do have time for it. And you have endless content.
Yes. Yeah, so that's one thing I just like, it kind of almost bums me out because again, I just think about all the cool things in the industry that we are doing together. I always say community over competition. Like we are all creating amazing, incredible homes. And I'm traveling right now, which is why my background's blurred and I'm at a hotel, but even when I'm flying, I'm like flying and I look down, I'm like, look at all the homes out there that us as an industry are doing, whether it's residential or commercial. Like that is the industry we're in, which is so neat. And then I think we have years that we invest mentally, physically, that we invest into a project, whether it's from the architectural plans all the way to styling the project. Um, and then constantly you're driving by the street and you see it and it brings you right back there. So I'm like, we are inundated in this. And it makes me so sad when I see fellow colleagues that the project's done, they have these beautiful assets and they do absolutely nothing with them. So I'm like, if anything, utilize AI to take those assets and like you're proud of it. You're proud of your work and get it seen, get it in front of people. Not only is it going to open doors to new opportunity, but it's going to showcase all the hard work that you and your teams did together.
Yeah, I love it. And you've said it before, it's like thousands of dollars of content, a lot of people just have sitting there.
Millions, which can
Yeah,
like multiply, right? If you get it out there. But if it's just sitting in your Drive or Dropbox, no one gets
right.
to see it. How sad.
How sad, that's right. Well, let's touch on Dolly real quick, and then we're gonna watch a demo that you put together for us so everybody can kind of see it all working together.
Yeah, so Dolly is a well-known one. I would say this is one that's pretty user-friendly and simple. A lot of people will just use Dolly on its own, but this will be a demo on the next one that is integrated with ChatGPT. So I'll walk you through kind of what this screenshot is above. But with renderings, this is just like what took me 1 minute. So as you can see, like the space in between where you walk behind the stove is not to code. So there's a lot of things like you can bring this to permit, but again, like getting the renderings in place, getting the overall vision. And I'm just like, this is how amazing this tool is able to, you give it some prompts and then it is able to spit out this. So
That's crazy. That's crazy. Let's hear what you have to tell us about ChatGPT and Dolly.
So here I want to show you guys a look into ChatGPT 4 and a lot of the tool integrations that it has and why it's so worth it. So if you're new to ChatGPT, I would just start out with the free version. It's great, get to know it. Just start with context and text and voice recognition, brand recognition, and dabble within it to see how you like it before you upgrade to the paid version. Then without a doubt, I would definitely say upgrade to the 4. It's worth every single penny, because what you can do over here, so on the left hand side, you can explore all these GPTs within ChatGPT 4. This is not a part of the free version, or it wasn't back when I had that free version. So there's so many different integrations, tools you might already have. So just go ahead and you can search for those tools. But the one that I want to point out, which I'll show you here in a second, is Dolly. So this just helps too with the imagery. Everything, time is money, and productivity. So a lot of times too, I might not necessarily be using these for exact renderings that we're doing for a client, or I might be, but a lot of times even to just get that conversation going with our clients and to get that inspiration curated into one. And a lot of times too, we might get in a creative funk, or we might get stuck on, things that we might be missing. And so this truly is just like your personal assistant that is going to make sure that you're not missing the mark on everything. So there's a number of different things that I use within ChatGPT 4. Canva is another one. Like this presentation today, parts of it were generated through ChatGPT and Canva, because I took things that I know, I put it into here, and then it opens up Canva, and it helps you with the slides and the decks and integrating it, and can help with, we can still keep it on brand, everything like that. Again, time saver, but it's not necessarily doing all the thinking for you. So what I am showing you for this quick demonstration though is Dolly. So I had just come up here and clicked on Dolly. And so just to show you, like this is very 101. I wouldn't be this 101 with a client per se, but I said, help me make a little girl nursery, boho, classic, and chic. Don't make it cringe. Something I recently learned, which I love, is that a keyword is cringe. They're like anytime, even if it writes content for you, like text, and it kind of uses like words you would never use, but don't make it cringe. And the words are naturally how a regular person would speak. I think a lot of times, for whatever reason, ChatGPT pulls words that it's like, no one talks like that. So it will say something like this. Again, I would probably go back to this and say, like, I would give it more specific direction of what the color palette's going to be, probably some furniture. I've even dropped in, I did an outdoor kitchen recently, and I dropped in the exact appliance URLs. I didn't go pull the image, anything like that. I pulled the URL from what we're using, and I pulled the tile URL. I pulled all the selections in that way, URLs. I didn't have to upload images, nothing, and I put it in here, and it put those exact products into this rendering. So you can get super exact. What I also love about this is it makes me think about things I maybe wouldn't have been thinking about. So it's really just like a checklist too, and I could copy and paste and share this with the client, but again, make it my own a little bit more. So I said, yes, please make me a rendering. So here are the 2 renderings. Again, this was just from that I prompted. So I would go back and I would say, again, maybe move the rug in the opposite direction, move this away from the window, give it exact selections within this. But just a quick little preview of how fast this whole rendering I got from typing in this context, about 10 seconds. So again, saves you a lot of time to at least get the conversation started with your clients to get on the same page about a lot of things, or maybe this is for your internal team and, to get on the same page with your internal team with the direction that you see this project going and you want them, to create something from that, but at least there's a starting point. That's the biggest reason why we use Dolly here.
That's amazing.
I was also going to say, so that's Loom. So that is how I do a ton of, and we have a Loom library. So even when we have new people starting on our team, then we'll be like, oh, go check out the Loom. We don't have to repeat or reteach, or something might be, misinterpreted from the first time, or so.
Fantastic. Great demo. Thank you. Now I want to talk about Jasper AI. It's another one that you recommend kind of as a beginner tool. Do you want to tell us anything about it, or should we go straight into the demo?
I would just say the only thing, because a lot of times people are like, why do you have more than one tool? We do have a lot of tools. Ethan is new to our team, who's on the call right now, and he was like, oh my gosh, how do you keep all these tools straight? And I was like, I need to do a tutorial on that because we do have a lot of tools. But different things work differently for us. And so if you're new to AI, just start with one tool. If you're not, if you've been doing AI, ChatGPT, then explore this tool. So Jasper.ai, to me, is a lot more focused on long form content. Also, I think long form content right now is king and key with algorithms. People are wanting more and more. They're craving long form content. They're craving storylines. Again, we take our readers on the journey from beginning to end in blog form content for SEO. And so as you can see here, it says, welcome back to the Wayzata Classic Bath. So we've already shared, about this. And so Jasper.ai, I use it more for writing bigger articles or maybe writing newsletters, but I have a colleague that she loves Jasper.ai over ChatGPT. So again, you guys might like different tools for different reasons. So that's why you need to explore it and figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, that's great. And then I think it's amazing, and it's worth reiterating that you can teach these tools your own voice
Yes.
over time. So it gets better at sounding more and more like you, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing too. I think sometimes people are like, oh, which we're not talking about on this call, but I've been spending all week diving into how Google now is going to start favoring. They do already. When you Google things, on the top it says AI. However, if you have long form content, if you have credible content, you will start showing up within that. And so that's something I'm now focusing on, but we're already ahead of it. Like if you go Google subway tile design layout ideas, construction of style, the first 5 is all being pulled into that AI.
Oh my gosh.
And so with that, what you're saying, Faye, about the brand and the voice is you get to know the bot. So get to know your bot when you're starting off with any of these platforms. Ask the bot questions to ask you back so that you answer it. Like have a very candid conversation with it. And so you can just start by saying like, hey, I would start by saying like, hey, I'm Morgan. I want to fine tune my brand voice with you. Can you help me do that? And it will say, yes, whatever. And then you'll ask me some questions that you should know. And they'll ask you questions, then answer, and just keep going back and forth until you've developed like, and it'll keep developing. Like my bot, I've been talking to it for a long time. Like it knows me down to a T. And like I get mad at my bot. I swear at my bot. I'm like, I think I said, yeah, I'm like, oh, it uses the word delve all the time. When you start with AI, it'll use delve. And I'm like, who in the bleep uses delve? And I'm like, stop using that word. If you use it one more time. And then it was like, I'm so sorry, and so I'm like, talk to it like it's your best friend and get to know it. You can't just think when you start utilizing these tools that it's just going to be like, again, some of our team members is like, I just can't do it. It's too icky for me. And I'm like, it's because you haven't developed it yet. Like you really need to develop it. So with that being said, like give it some time.
Little patience, little patience.
Which
All
I
right,
don't have.
let's watch a quick demo here of Jasper AI.
Here is a look into Jasper.ai. I love this tool for a lot of my writing content, whether it's a blog post that I want catered to SEO, it's our newsletters, it's different articles that I need help writing up. Again, it's still my education and my thought process, but it's formulating your bot to be an assistant. It's formulating your bot to help with productivity, to speed things up, to look over things and make you think about things that you may otherwise would have missed. So we have cut, I want to say more than my time in half for a lot of that content, or things that we weren't doing now I'm able to do because I have more time to do this. First thing on the left-hand side, your brand voice. You want to make sure that you set your brand voice up. This is crucial. A lot of times people are like, oh, I've dabbled in it and I don't like it. And I'm like, it's because you haven't spent enough time doing your brand voice. Like truly ask, and the key is too, to ask them questions that they're going to then ask you questions to answer. So it's things, again, that you wouldn't be thinking of. That's a separate conversation. But I just wanted to show you, like, this is what a quick overview here looks like. My content, I'm just going to show you this one right here. So concrete countertops, actually writing this for a client and their website. So again, another great thing to utilize is for your website content to beef it up, because so often, our websites are lacking in the home industry when it comes to, portraying who you really are. And it's the last thing that what I hear is people will be like, oh, that's the last thing I think about. So it shouldn't be either, because your website is like your whole funnel to your entire, your brand of what you're building. So here we just, again, our bot knows this brand as well. And so the ultimate guide to concrete countertops, durability, design, decision-making, and it helps me do this. And so there's over here, you can select a voice. You can set up different brand voices too, if you have different things, the way you talk on your website versus social media, or if you run multiple accounts, all that can be done with brand voice. And over here, you can check plagiarism. That's another thing that we're going to be talking about, is the ethical considerations. So you can do that over here. It's going to tell you the word count, etc. So this is just super high level. We only have so much time, but I would highly encourage, for long form content, Jasper.ai. And this is a look of what it looks like behind the scenes.
Another fantastic demo. Really, really interesting stuff. So thank you for those demos. It kind of just gives everybody an idea of what the interface looks like and what you can do with it. Love it. Now let's talk about Canva. And we don't have any more demos, but we wanted to touch on a few things that are a little more advanced. But yeah, talk about Canva.
Yeah, so Canva, again, we do a ton of graphics when it comes to what we're styling in homes or the selections we're doing, because we have different revenue streams that we focus on within our projects once the projects are completed. But again, you can use you can have graphics, like you can have the templates in place. In Canva, like we have everything set to our brand colors, our brand fonts. And a lot of times things are repeated content. Like here's just our template that we'll use if we're doing anything on our blog, if we're doing anything with affiliate linking. Um, and so all that can be done within, I mentioned before, Canva has an AI automation tool within it. It's not, it'll get better, right? Like it's very 101, but it's exciting to see like they're already integrating things and it's just going to continuously get better. And then you can curate things again in ChatGPT 4. Here was this project that we did when I mentioned the Brizo, the bathroom. So all of the bathrooms, all the bedding, it was a home that was in the artisan tour. We collaborated with Parachute to have everything styled with them. And then from that, like this was not asked from the brand, but we created graphics and then we use their affiliate links, you know? And so this is content now that is living on, not just on our blog, but on Pinterest. And it is constantly getting pushed out and out and out again. We don't have time talking to this, but we use an app called Tailwinds, which is publishing about 30 posts per day of our business content. It's our highest, Pinterest is our highest source generator for social media. So if you're not on that, another conversation, but get on that. But Tailwinds pushes our content 30 times per day without us having to do a thing. We probably go in there once every 6 months and update the content, but otherwise it is telling it when to post, at what time to post, it's pulling all the data for us that we don't have time to do or wouldn't even know of when things sell best, what our top performers are. So again, utilizing AI in a way that like can help you just do more, like make more money from these beautiful projects that you're doing.
Yeah, from all your content that you need to dust off. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, so I hate to cut off this conversation, but like you said, we only have so much time to cover it all. There is a way that everybody on the line can learn more about what to do and how you're doing this, correct? You have recently just launched a program, a membership program, right?
Yes, I know. After I just mentioned that, I was like, I did tell you guys about that. I have a lot of speaking things going on right now, so I forget what I tell who. But we have a membership-based program. You guys can email out. We'll give you guys a code too, but we dive into all the tools we use. It's called the C2S Playbook. We go over tools we use, whether it's marketing, business, or honestly, how we run our business. And so it's new content that rolls out monthly. But also we have a ton of content in there. That's a hub. It's a resource. You can take it at your own time and pace. So yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And I think Lee's going to go ahead and drop in the chat a link so that people can check it out directly on your website.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so now I just want to touch quickly on elevating vendor partnerships, and it's something to kind of market your own business, but boy, do your vendors appreciate it, right? When you're able,
Yes.
you're using your platform to be a good partner. So yeah, talk about this.
Yeah. And so I just mentioned on the last one, so we worked with Parachute and it was a great partnership, great collaboration. And we worked with a ton of brands to bring this home to life. And we did this for all the brands. So a lot of times too, people are like, oh my gosh, how on top of finishing the home, like how do you have time to bring all these brands in, do all the content, like push it all for them, right? But to me, I was like, it's easy. I shouldn't say that, but I'm like, if you're utilizing the right tools. And then I got this like super sweet, humbling email at the end of it too, and I got more from this brand. And I was just like, you know what? If you're utilizing tools like this, it's only going to elevate your partnerships. And we can't do this alone, whether you're from the brand aspect or you're from the business aspect. Like we need one another and we need to lean on each other. We need to evolve together. We need to do more and more together. And sometimes honestly kind of made me sad about this too, because she was like, no one's ever done this to this level. And I was just like, man, we should be doing this all the time, right? So then I'm like, there's so many different marketing ways out there that you can help elevate one another to make, what is the saying, like all tide raise ship thing. And I'm like, we all need to bring the industry up together. And so to me too, I'm like, brands should be asking their contractors, the people that they work with, like, what are you guys like on, trend to see, or what is your, not just like design forecasting, right? But from the business side, like the marketing side, like what can we be doing together to get to showcase these beautiful homes off that we've curated together? And so to me, just by utilizing a lot of these tools that I'm mentioning, it's only going to elevate your vendor partnerships. And we all know that like that's just going to lead to more and more better things to make homes come to life a lot more efficiently and
Yeah.
a lot more stress-free.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. Really fantastic. All right. I guess we got about 5 minutes left. Oh, there Lee's a step ahead of us. We're launching a poll about the challenges of AI before we talk quickly about ethics. So answer here what you think is the biggest ethical challenge related to AI. What kind of boggles your mind the most here?
Yeah, while this is going on, for some reason I can't chat back because it just says host and panelists for me. But one of the questions was, are there any differences in the prompts you would give Jasper versus ChatGPT for a blog post like that? So the prompts I give that, I start by just getting an outline. So I get a little bit more, I guide it slowly and then it ever evolves. So I'll tell Jasper what I'm working on, and then I'll say, is there a better SEO title for this? Is there a better call to action? So I would say the two keywords I'm always looking at is like call to action. And I'll always say back to it too, like, what would make someone stop in their track in 3 seconds? Like that's what I want the title to be, because we all know the internet is just inundated with our attention. So I'm like, and now I think it's down to like 1 second that we have to grab someone's attention. And so
Yeah.
I give it prompts like that. And then I'm like, help me put out a high level. Okay, now help me narrow that. Then I'll like hone in one by one until I've developed the bigger picture. And then ChatGPT, I'm a lot more like quick. I won't take as much time to develop the bigger picture of things. I'm more so just like, I have this faucet and I need to hone in on the color of the faucet,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of the prompts, I would say.
A little bit, little
Hopefully that
simpler
answers
on
your
the
question.
chat
Yeah.
GPT side. Interesting. Okay. Well, people are most concerned about transparency. And then security risks and privacy issues are tying for number 2. So that's really interesting.
Good.
Yeah, really interesting. So good to know what's on your minds out there. We're going to talk real quick to wrap this up here in the next few minutes about ethics considerations, all the things, that you should think about. Here's the list.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I'm like, it's good. It's out, because if everything was like too perfect, it's like, no. So I'm like, it's good to be thinking about these things. And what I say for everything, we're all learning together. We're all figuring this out together. I've always lived my whole life motto by being an open book. So I'm just like, I don't think you're going to get into any trouble as we're figuring this out if you're transparent. Be honest, be transparent. More and more, when you post now with tools and stuff, it'll say, did you do this with AI? Don't lie about it. Don't hide it, right? Like that's only going to get yourself into more trouble. So I'm like, just be transparent with that. Showcase, say that. I don't think that's going to do any harm to you, because it's not like you don't have other beautiful work, other beautiful projects going on. And I think it'll, if anything, just make you come off as a forward thinker. Like I'm utilizing this for X, Y, and Z. And so transparency, like be transparent, share that, disclose it. Just like if you have a brand partnership or anything like that, you have to disclose it. There's always, or affiliate marketing, you have to say disclosure, and X, Y, and Z. So now even with AI, I always just put disclosure, and make sure to link to it. So just be as transparent as you can. Privacy, I think that's a valid risk too, but I guess I also just live by, I'm like, everyone can get access to all of the things. So I'm like, what aren't they taking? And sometimes I'm like, go Google your name. Like, and it's like, you try to be as private as you can. Your address is showing up, your home showing up, like things are showing up on the internet that you're like, where did that even get pulled from? So again, I'm like, it is out there. It is terrifying. It is scary, but just, yeah. I'm like, all these are valid. And also I'm like, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not legal. I'm like, always be having those conversations, ask your lawyer about this. And there are different things rolling out. Like we all know there's different lawsuits going on with a lot of these head honchos. And so it'll just be interesting, right? But I know that it's going to continue to evolve. I know it's going to be more day to day within a lot of our industries and life and homes. And
Yeah.
so the more we're in the know, right? The more we're educating ourselves, the more we're experiencing, the more we're doing this all together and sharing too, just like you said in the beginning of this, the more you're learning and sharing with our industry so that we can all learn, I think the better. But I don't think it's going to replace us. I don't think it's going to replace our creativity. I already think like, you know, when we were making mood boards, et cetera, it's like you're going to Pinterest, you're looking at different things. Now AI is just doing that quicker for you. And so
Yeah.
that is how it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, you said when we talked before, hey, you know what, the internet has been a thing for years and years and years, and we've always been finding inspiration on the internet to spur
Yes.
creativity.
Yeah.
So this is really, you know, there's one way to look at it. This is not new, it's just different.
Mhm.
Using AI is just making the internet more efficient, basically,
Right.
is, you know, that's your perspective. And it's like, you know what, that's a really good point. It's really smart. It's the next iteration of the internet.
Yes.
We are at the top of the hour, and I want to close out the conversation today by talking about some of your resources. So, you know, these conversations with you have amazed me. Like where do you find all your information, and how do you stay up to date, and who do you follow? So let's touch on that before everybody has to drop here real quick.
Yeah, again, I'm like, by spending time with you guys, by spending time, I'm at a women's in construction conference this week. I'm like, by surrounding myself with, I strive to like people that are smarter than me. I always want to be around people that are thinking, advancing, sharing. And I'm constantly listening to an Audible book the second I wake up, you know, my car drives, my walks. So I love Audible books. A Drink with James is hilarious. He runs a marketing company, FOHR, and his episodes are just so great. And he's always sharing the latest algorithm changes in a very hilarious way.
He's on YouTube,
He's
right?
drinking during it, yes, but they're great. And Brad Levitt, he's my partner at Contractor Coalition. He has a great podcast. He only brings on incredibly intelligent people. And Modern Craftsman podcast too, another one I listen to. Great podcast. This Buy Back Your Time. Just started listening to this, and I'm like, I can't incorporate it fast enough into my life. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. These are great, great resources to chase here. You have been so fun to learn from, and you have given us a whole lot to think about. So we are so grateful for you. I know Lee and I, as we prepared for this talk today, have been blown away. So thank you so much for being a leader in this space. I mean, it's a very important space, and for encouraging us all to, you know, take a look at what's out there and just know it, even if we're not going to use it, just
Yeah.
know what's out there. So much appreciated.
And I know we're out of time, but Tanya, who I love and adore, she came to build her in Costa Rica. This is an important one. She said, do you tell your clients you're recording your phone call? Where I live, it's the law to do that. I'm like, that is so smart. So what I do is, yes, we do. But even in so we have a client handbook that our clients get the second. So we have an automation set up even when our clients reach out to us, which some of it is generated automatically. But they get our client handbook. And I am kind of treating this just like photography and videos, right? So we've always said like, or people go, oh, they didn't let me photograph it or video it or any of that with social media. I'm kind of treating AI the same. So just make sure like in places like that, just add it to whatever else you're disclosing. So that's something that we're starting to do. So in our company handbook or client handbook, it'll say like, we are photographing, right? And this is separate than the contract that they signed. Like we will be taking photos and videos throughout your project and putting on social media. Like that is from the beginning. So this is kind of the same thing where it's like, we are a forward-thinking company. They get to know about our company in our client handbook. I think it's just like a 4-pager, and it's fun and creative. And so, yes, Tanya,
Awesome.
to answer that fact.
That's a thank you for picking that up. And then I think Lee might be able to drop in the chat here how to get a hold of Morgan or follow Morgan. There are lots of different ways. She like I said, she wears lots of different hats, runs lots of different businesses. So lots of ways to get a hold of her and follow her for inspiration. It's amazing. And information. One of the things we love to do best at Pipeline is connect you all, keep the network going. We know that's what you live for. So thank you, Morgan, so much for sharing everything with us. As we drop here, just want to mention December 11th, if you need CEU credit, be sure to join us. We'll be talking about water quality and water filtration methods, and you can get CEU credit for that.